It's 3 in the morning, the room is dark, the house is quiet. You are half asleep, somewhere between a dream and the small hope that nothing will wake you up before morning. Then you hear it. A single meow outside the bedroom door. You try to ignore it. You stay still. You tell yourself that if you don't react, maybe she will stop. Then comes the sound of something sliding across a table. A pause, then a crash. You open your eyes, and there she is, your cat. Calm, focused, almost peaceful, standing in the hallway as if everything has gone exactly according to plan. So you get up, not because you want to, not because you think this is healthy, but because it is easier than arguing with a 10-pound animal who somehow knows your weaknesses better than most people do. Now cut to another scene. You put food in her bowl. She walks over, sniffs it, looks at it for a moment, then turns away like you have personally disappointed her. The food has been there for 20 minutes. Still, you open a new portion. And later, when you are working, she steps across the desk, walks directly over the keyboard, and settles down exactly where your hands need to be. You sigh, you smile a little, then you move. Most people call this cute. Some call it normal cat behavior, and sometimes it is. But at some point, a question begins to appear. When does love stop making a cat feel safe and start making her unable to handle the world? Because a spoiled cat does not always look the way people imagine. It is not just a cat with too many toys. It is not just a cat who sleeps on the bed, eats expensive food, or gets carried around like royalty. Spoiling a cat often happens in much smaller ways. If she cries, you get up. If she refuses food, you replace it. If she takes your seat, you move. If she seems upset, you feel guilty. Each moment by itself feels harmless. Sometimes it even feels loving. But when the same pattern repeats day after day, your cat may learn something you never meant to teach her. She may learn that the world does not have to be tolerated. The world will adjust. And that is where love, without meaning to, can quietly become stress. The first sign is that your cat refuses to eat unless the bowl is in exactly the right place. Maybe you moved it a few inches while cleaning the floor. Maybe you placed it on the other side of the kitchen just for one meal. To you, this is almost nothing. The bowl is still there, the food is still there, nothing important has changed. But your cat stands back and looks at the scene as if a familiar part of her universe has been erased. This is not completely irrational. Cats are deeply sensitive to their environment. They rely on familiar locations, repeated routines, and predictable spaces. The food bowl, the litter box, the sleeping spot, the favorite window ledge, these are not just objects in a house. To a cat, they are anchors. They help her understand where she is, what is safe, and what belongs to her. So yes, stability matters, but there is a line. If every tiny change is immediately undone the second your cat protests, she never gets the chance to learn that a small change can still be safe. She never has to walk toward the bowl in its new place. She never has to discover that nothing bad happens when the world is slightly different. And slowly, her tolerance for change becomes smaller. A moved bowl feels like a crisis. A changed feeding time feels personal. A new object in the room feels like a disruption she did not approve. This is not because she is bad. It is because her world has been kept so perfectly arranged around her comfort that she has never had to practice flexibility. The second sign is that the food must be fresh right now, always. You put down a clean bowl of food. She walks over, sniffs it, pauses, and leaves. And you know what happens next. You wonder if she is hungry. You wonder if she dislikes this flavor now. You wonder if maybe the food has lost its smell, so you replace it. There are two things to separate here. Cats do have a strong sense of smell. Many cats are cautious about food, and that caution makes sense. In nature, avoiding spoiled food is protective. If food is old, dirty, or unsafe, refusing it is not spoiled behavior. It is instinct. But if the food is clean, safe, and barely touched, and your cat has learned that walking away will make you bring something better, then something else is happening. The refusal has become useful. She does not need to understand it in a human way. She does not need to think, I am training my owner. She only needs the pattern. I reject this. Something better appears. And over time, picky behavior becomes stronger because it works. This can become more than an inconvenience. A cat who expects constant variety may become harder to keep on a stable diet. And if one day she needs a specific food for medical reasons, that transition can become much harder than it needed to be. In other words, what looks like good care in the moment may create stress later, because the cat has learned that food is not something she accepts. Food is something she negotiates. The third sign is that she wakes you up at night, and you always get up. This may be the most familiar one. It starts with a soft meow, then a louder one, then a paw under the door, then scratching, then the mysterious sound of an object being pushed closer and closer to the edge of a shelf. Cats are patient observers. Your cat has had a long time to study you. She may know that meowing does not always work, but knocking over your phone does. She may know that scratching at the door for 30 seconds fails, but scratching for 3 minutes succeeds. She may know that sitting on your chest is more effective than sitting politely beside the bed. Again, this is not evil. It is learning. Every time you get up, you confirm the lesson. This strategy works. The problem is not one bad night. Everyone gives in sometimes. The problem is repetition. If the same behavior produces the same result often enough, it becomes part of the routine. And suddenly, your cat is not just waking you up because she needs something. She is waking you up because nighttime has become another time when the world responds. A cat needs stability, but she also needs to learn that not every uncomfortable moment makes the entire house change immediately. The fourth sign is that she attacks your feet, and you think it is adorable. You walk down the hallway. From behind the corner, something launches. A small body wraps around your ankle. Tiny teeth press into your skin. Then she disappears as quickly as she arrived. You laugh and say, she's just playing. And maybe she is. But imagine a 30-pound dog doing the exact same thing. Same speed, same teeth, same surprise attack. Most people would not call it cute. They would call it a behavior that needs attention. With cats, cuteness can hide the problem. Hunting is not a decorative instinct. For a cat, it is a real behavioral need. The sequence matters. Watching, stalking, waiting, chasing, catching, and finishing the cycle. If a cat does not get enough appropriate hunting play, that energy does not disappear. It looks for somewhere else to go. And very often it goes toward whatever moves. Your feet, your hands, your ankles under a blanket. The attack itself does not mean your cat is spoiled. It may mean she is understimulated. It may mean her body is asking for a kind of play her environment is not providing. The spoiled part begins when humans laugh, pull their feet away like prey, or play back with their hands. In that moment, the line becomes blurry. Your body becomes the toy. And next time, the bite may be harder. The claws may go deeper. Not because she is cruel, but because no one taught her where play ends. What she needs is not punishment. She needs a legal target. A wand toy. A moving toy. A short, focused play session before bedtime. A chance to complete the hunt without using your skin as the prey. The fifth sign is that she takes over the couch, the bed, or the laptop, and you always move. It is a funny image. A small cat sprawled in the very center of the couch while a full-grown adult sits on the edge like a guest in their own home. And once in a while, this is harmless. But if it happens every day, with every important space, your cat is learning something through repetition. Not that she is the queen in some dramatic human sense. Not that she is plotting to dominate the household. Something simpler. When I choose a place, the human makes room. Cats care about space. They care about access, comfort, warmth, visibility, and safety. The best places in the home often carry meaning because they offer all of those things at once. The center of the bed, the warm laptop, the chair you just left, the spot where your hands are working. If you always move, always adjust, always apologize, your cat never learns that shared space has limits. And this matters because a home is not healthy for a cat simply because she can do anything she wants. A healthy home is one she can understand. Sometimes that means she can be close. Sometimes it means she has to be gently moved. The sixth sign is that she reacts strongly whenever you touch her or move her. This one has to be handled carefully. Respecting a cat's boundaries is correct. You should not force affection on a cat who is clearly uncomfortable. You should not keep petting when the tail starts lashing, the ears flatten, or the body stiffens. A cat is not a stuffed animal. She has the right to say no. But there is a difference between healthy boundaries and constant defensiveness. Some cats simply prefer affection on their own terms. That can be normal. But if a cat hisses, bites, or panics at every gentle, predictable touch that she did not initiate, then the issue may be deeper. She may not have learned that human hands can be safe, even when they are not giving her exactly what she asked for. She may feel that any loss of control is a threat. This does not make her bad. It means she may be living with a very low threshold for stress. And if every reaction makes the human back away instantly without any patient training, she never learns a more secure response. The goal is not to force her to accept handling. The goal is to build trust slowly, clearly, and predictably, so that touch does not always feel like danger. The seventh sign is that she ignores you when you call, but yells when she needs something. You say her name, her ear moves. She heard you, but she does not come. An hour later, she walks over, meows, rubs against your leg, and demands attention. And of course, you give it. Many people shrug and say that's just cats. And partly, yes, cats are not dogs. They do not exist to obey every signal humans give them. But relationships still have patterns. If your cat never has a reason to respond to you, but always gets a result when she demands something from you, the relationship can become one-sided. You call, she decides. She calls, you respond. Over time, this creates a quiet asymmetry, not because she is selfish in a human way, because one direction has been rewarded more than the other. A deeper relationship with a cat is not built by forcing obedience. It is built by creating small moments of mutual response, a name that leads to something positive, a call that is not a command, but an invitation, a pattern where both sides sometimes move toward each other. The eighth sign is that she needs one very specific place on your body, not just nearby, on your hands while you type, across your chest when you read, between your face and your phone, right on top of the open book, as if the page was made for her. Part of this is warmth, part of it is closeness, but often there is something else happening. Your laptop, your book, your phone, they all have one thing in common. They take your eyes away from her. Some cats do not demand attention loudly. They simply place their body between you and the rest of the world. And in a way, it is touching. It means your presence matters. Your attention matters. You are part of her safety. But if a cat cannot tolerate even short moments when your focus goes somewhere else, closeness may have turned into dependency. A secure cat can be near you without controlling every second of your attention. She can rest in the same room while you work. She can wait. She can settle. She can trust that your gaze leaving her is not the same as you leaving her. Because love is not constant eye contact. Love is knowing the connection remains, even in the quiet spaces between attention. The ninth sign is that you change your plans because of her. You leave dinner early because she eats at 6. You stop inviting friends over because strangers make her uncomfortable. You choose a couch, not because you love it, but because it hides fur. None of these choices are wrong by themselves. Caring for an animal always changes your life. Responsibility requires adjustment. A good owner does think about feeding schedules, stress, comfort, and safety. But there is a question worth asking. Who is adapting to whom? Not who matters more. Not whether you love your cat too much, but whether the balance has quietly shifted until your entire home, schedule, social life, and emotional state are organized around avoiding your cat's discomfort. A cat who never has to adapt may seem protected, but she may also lose the chance to discover her own resilience. She may never learn that guests can visit and the world can still be safe, that a meal can be slightly delayed and she will still be fed, that a routine can bend without breaking. Sometimes, the kindest thing is not to remove every challenge. Sometimes, it is to let a small challenge exist long enough for confidence to grow. The 10th sign is that she seems to punish you when you come home, and you accept it. You leave for 2 days. When you return, she turns away. She hides. She refuses to greet you, or maybe something more serious happens. She urinates outside the litter box, stops eating normally, or acts different in a way that makes your stomach tighten. First, be careful. Sudden changes in litter box habits, appetite, hiding, vocalizing, or behavior should never be dismissed as attitude. Stress can be real. Medical issues can be real. If something changes suddenly, health should be considered before personality. But there is also a behavioral pattern that can form. You come home. Your cat acts distant or upset. You feel guilty. Your voice changes. You offer treats. You follow her. You give extra attention. You try to make up for leaving. And your cat learns the pattern. Not revenge. Not moral punishment. Just cause and effect. When I show distress, the human becomes softer, more available, more generous. That does not mean her stress is fake. It means your response can still shape what happens next. The issue is not that you care. The issue is when guilt becomes the thing making every decision. And then comes the final sign, the deepest one. You feel guilty when you say no. You do not give the extra treat. You do not open the bedroom door at midnight. You do not stop working the second she steps onto the desk. She looks at you, and somewhere in your chest, something tightens. A small voice says, "She's upset, she'll love me less, I'm being a bad owner." This is where the video stops being only about cats. Because many people confuse love with never allowing disappointment. They want their cat to feel safe, they want her to feel adored, they want her to know she matters, and because cats cannot understand long explanations, people try to prove love through immediate yeses. But a trustworthy human is not one who always says yes. A trustworthy human is consistent, calm, predictable, someone whose responses do not change completely based on the emotional intensity of the demand. A calm no is not a withdrawal of love. It is part of the structure that makes love understandable. For a cat, structure is not cruelty. Predictability is not coldness. Boundaries are not rejection. They are information. They tell her what kind of world she lives in. They tell her what to expect. They tell her that even when she does not get exactly what she wants, the relationship is still there. If you recognized your cat in some of these signs, that does not mean you are a bad owner. Most of this does not come from neglect. It comes from love. You got up at 3 a.m. because you cared. You replaced the food because you worried she might be hungry. You gave up the couch because she looked peaceful. You felt guilty because you know she depends on you. But a cat does not only need to be loved. She needs a world with shape. She needs to learn that waiting is not abandonment. That a small change is not a disaster. That a closed door does not mean the bond is broken. That a calm no does not mean love has disappeared. Because in the end, your cat does not need a perfect world that bends around her every desire. She needs a human who is steady enough to be understood, clear enough to be trusted, and loving enough to hold a boundary without turning it into punishment. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do is not say yes one more time. Sometimes, it is staying calm long enough for your cat to discover something she should have been allowed to learn all along. The world is still safe, even when it does not move exactly the way she wants.